Hi, the ATO are on the warpath. You might have heard that on the news, read it on papers, maybe watched some of my stuff or read some of my stuff in recent time or elsewhere. But there's no doubt they are becoming more and more aggressive about making sure that businesses are reporting accurately, on time, etc. So where are they really focusing? Well, the first part is obviously your compliance. Making sure you're lodging on time. Making sure you're actually lodging at all. So whether that's your activity statements, your income tax, your pay-as-you-go installments, superannuation, etc. So they're really cracking down on those areas. And don't give them the opportunity to review or audit you by not doing so. It's critical. Even if you don't have all of the funds to pay in full, lodging on time is important. It's critical. The use of business funds for personal purposes. Now, you may or may not have heard the term Division 7A, but that's what that relates to. So where you're running a business in a company structure, that income is the company's. If you use it, then that income becomes yours and you have to account for it. So being strategic in the way you do that is important, not just ripping money out of the company and failing to report it as personal income. So documenting all of that and making sure you're covered in terms of how it's reported. And there are ways to do that without causing yourself problems. Trusts, if you're operating a business in a trust, distribution compliance is important. So making sure the distributions are right, that they go to eligible beneficiaries, that they're accounted for correctly, that those distributions are made prior to 30 June. So trusts can be very complex and it's an area that they're cracking down on. So if you're operating in a trust, make sure you're ticking those boxes or getting the right advice. Capital gains tax is another area that they're really cracking down on. So whether that's simply the sale of particular assets, be that property, shares, businesses, etc., making sure that that's all documented correctly, making sure if you are claiming any concessions, whether that's small business concessions or simply the CGT discount, that you're doing so correctly. Having the right information and making sure that you're ticking the right boxes is important. Industry-specific areas, and one of the big ones is property and construction. And specifically within that area, the treatment of GST, especially margin scheme. So margin scheme relates to the sale of property and whether or not you can claim the original purchase of that property as a reduction in your GST. So understanding the rules and claiming it properly is important. And that's got to do with how you purchased it and who you purchased it from in the first place. So making sure you've got the right documentation and you are on top of any of those criteria and tick all the boxes, is important. Obviously, reporting of income is something that they've always cracked down on, and the cash economy is one that they've really honed in on a number of years now. So if you happen to operate in the cash economy, then making sure that you're reporting accordingly. And there are data matching, there are benchmarking. There are a lot of areas where the ATO can now find information to substantiate what you may have reported. Some small business risk areas, as I said, business income isn't personal income, so making sure that it's captured and reported correctly is critical. The GST compliance, as I said, that's really an area that they're cracking down on. Employee obligations, so the superannuation guarantee and the pay-as-you-go withholding, that's lodged generally with your activity statements and GST. So making sure that you've got those things sorted. And as I said, lodgement is as important as payment. So making sure that your compliance is up to date is critical. As I said, even if you can't make payments in full, it's important to get that done. Your record keeping is critical, maintaining the right books of accounts. Obviously, there's so much technology now. We're a zero-based firm. Xero is a great system. There are other, supporting apps that you can use depending on your business industry and type. Use that technology to your advantage. Have the information up to date. Not only does it help you with your compliance, it helps you with your business management, helps you with your planning to understand where you're at and where you're heading to and what you need to do. It can highlight some problem areas for your business. So, really make sure your record keeping's in good shape. So, how do we mitigate these risks? Well, we need to stay ahead of our lodgements, as I said. We need to be on time, we need to make sure we're compliant, and we can do that with our good record keeping. We need to make sure we're separating business and personal finances, so we actually know what's what and we can account for it correctly. Get professional advice. If you're not, you're probably going to cause yourself some problems. And as I said, leverage the digital services that are available. Make sure you're at the cutting edge in your business. I know I've just run through a lot, and it might be doing your head in a little, but really the bottom line is have your information in order, seek the right advice, and stay compliant. If you do that, you won't have a problem. And one organisation you don't want to be chasing you is the ATO, because they are coming hard. So let's not give them a reason to. Let's make sure we've got all those areas ticked off, and we'll plain sailing well into the future. Hope you found this useful. If you need any assistance in this area, clearly this is something that we do and help many businesses with, and we're more than happy to help you if you're not getting the right support. So feel free to reach out. We're here for you, and we're passionate about helping. Thanks for listening. Look forward to speaking with you soon. Bye for now.